from childhood, I loved fantasy books, fairy tales, and everything like that. Then, as a student, I loved science. Then, as a professional, I love this field because it is the only field when you can blend those two disciplines together, fantasy as well as science.
Pencil Kings, Pencil Kings, Pencil Kings. What happened? What changed him like that? I don't know. Something he saw, I guess.
You're listening to the Pencil Kings podcast, and I'm your host, Mitch Bowler. We're here to talk with successful artists and get the story behind their artwork and how you too can push your art to the next level. Today we are talking to Sourav Dhar, amazing matte painting techniques. Welcome to the call, Sourav. How are you doing today?
Hi, Mitch. I'm fine. Thank you for inviting me for this podcast.
Yeah, it's great. I was so amazed when I saw how fast you can work. Your first video came in and it was about an hour long, but I feel like you're painting in real time there. But before we get into how you're doing stuff, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive into how you get started.
All right. So, as you know, my name is Sourav Dhar, and I am from India. What I do is I am a matte painter and a concept artist. So, basically, my job is to think about an environment. I am specialized in environments. I'm not doing much of character art right now. So what I think is when a scenario is given to me in form of a story or a script, I think over it, I visualize some environment in my mind, then I sketch it. That is called a concept sketch. And if the client is good to go with that, then I add textures and paint them, fine tune them, color correction and lighting, and then I produce it as a matte painting, what you see in the movies or in the games. So that's what I do, and that's what I, do for Pencil Kings as well.
Awesome. And you've been featured in some different publications. Could you tell us which ones people may have seen your work in?
Oh yes, the most notable one should be the Artist Matte Painting 3. It's a book from the Ballistic Publishing, and I was really humbled and honored when I heard that Damien Mays, the celebrated matte painter, has selected my painting in his section. And there was a surprise attached that in my Facebook account, I suddenly got a friend request from David Luong. David is, I think, the concept art lead in the Blizzard Entertainment right now. And so that was like a reward, and I was really happy about that.
That's one of the things I love about you, Sourav. You're such a humble guy, and it makes it really easy to work with you. And so could you tell us, how did you get started doing this? Have you always been an artist and a matte painter? Where did you begin?
Oh, well, no, I came from a very different background. Actually, painting was my hobby since my childhood, and I used to sketch and scribble, in the back pages of my copybook in school and college and everywhere. But my dream was serious science. It might sound odd, but yes, I hold a master's degree in biotechnology. But then it happened like I got involved into gaming. I liked those video games very much, and I used to play them. And when it was a time to decide to take up a serious career, I chose this field because, from childhood, I loved fantasy books, fairy tales, and everything like that. Then, as a student, I loved science. Then, as a professional, I love this field because it is the only field when you can blend those two disciplines together, fantasy as well as science.
I've had a few guests now that said, they came from completely different backgrounds. I know
Right.
Saikra Yasin, he wanted to be a scientist when he was younger. And then Darren Yao, I believe he had like a computer science degree before he really started to get serious about matte painting.
Right.
So could you tell us about your transition when you went from, your master's degree,
Yeah.
biotechnologist, and then
Right.
were you working in that field and then you changed, or?
Actually, I was just, at the point of beginning my research in that field. After completing the master's, people usually go for PhD and those kind of research studies. In my life, it happened the other way, actually. I had some problems in college and all, but in those days, I was into extensive studies. And my nature is I don't restrict myself. as such. But because I was into biotechnology, it's not obvious that I will read only life science books. I was very much interested in physics and electronics as well. And in those days, I came across a few research articles. Those were on lighting. So one of the main thing in 3D lighting is how to create soft shadows. And in those papers, like they were, very intricate and very hardcore physics papers, but they were written by people working in Pixar. So that was a turning point. So I started reading articles. I started researching that why does animators get into this kind of hardcore serious physics project. So I found that gaming is not really child's play, or game is not really a game. It's a very difficult thing, and you need artificial intelligence. You need to update and create softwares, your own algorithms, and things are going procedural. So I started reading more and more, and I was getting more fascinated towards this field. And then I decided, okay, so let's try this.
Awesome. If you've heard of SIGGRAPH, it's the big computer technology and imaging show where they'll have hardcore scientists who are creating these algorithms so that we can create more believable art with the
That's right.
computer, and they go so deep into this stuff. You'd be amazed at you because you feel like we're limited by a certain way that technology. That we can use the technology, but when you look at these research papers, you can see just how advanced this stuff is, and it's really mind blowing.
Yeah, from the very beginning, I was very sure about pursuing something that gives me freedom to do something creative. And in science, it is possible that you can postulate anything, you can give a hypothesis, but today's scientific world, this is very difficult to do whatever you want to do because there's a lot of politics involved always, you know that. They will be judging you, and you need a lab, and you need this, that. But in this field, I enjoy this freedom. You can think anything, there is no restriction. If I want to show something, some sci-fi concept, there is no limit. No one is going to ask me whether it is true or false. I really enjoy this thing. As a scientist, it may be something very difficult to do whatever you want to do, but as an artist, you can do whatever you want to do, and you can incorporate your scientific thinking in your painting as well. I do enjoy that when I paint some sci-fi things. So that's
Mm.
amazing.
Yeah. I love seeing the when people have come from different backgrounds, how they incorporate that into their artwork, because there aren't that many artists who have the same background as you do, and each artist has their own unique background. And when you start bringing and building bridges between that previous area of study and then bring it forward in through your artwork, that's when amazing things can start to happen, and when you're making connections and drawing from visual reference that no one has done before.
Yeah, that's right.
So, what was your first piece that you created, or when did you decide I'm going to be an artist, and what did that path look like?
Actually, after deciding that I'm going into this field, I did some quick course, crash courses on 3D just to know the software interfaces, and I started learning serious Photoshop business and all. The first thing which I did was a cityscape painting, and I had published that in CG Society. I had a gallery there, and also in some other forums. Then I don't remember the exact name, but maybe it's a CG Arena or some kind of that type of a forum. They approached me and asked me that whether I could do a tutorial on that painting or not. Then I was shocked. Okay, so I was not a
And this was your
professional. That
this
was
was your
my
very first painting?
that was my very first painting which I published. I had done some 12 or 15 paintings before that to hone my skills, but they were not really that good that I could publish them in public forums. Seriously, I was nervous. But when they approached me, the Switch Arena people, that you could write some tutorial on that, how did you produce such effects? Then I got some confidence that okay, people do like my work, so I can step into this field and I can be a serious artist. So that was the turning point, and that gave me a lot of mileage. It was really boost.
Wow, that's so amazing, because I've talked to so many people that are afraid to post their work on public forums. They see the quality of the other artists there, and they just feel completely intimidated. But then your first one that you published publicly was you just knocked it out of the park and got all this interest. How long did it take you from deciding that you wanted to be an artist to starting to learn in 3D and then doing those initial studies and then releasing that first piece that got you some
It,
recognition?
it took almost 1.5 year, I would say. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So similar to some of the other guests that we've had, you can make profound leaps if you study very intently for
Yeah.
it seems like about a year is a number that keeps coming up, and obviously the more time that you spend studying, but just know that it doesn't come that quickly,
Right.
but a year still goes by fairly quick when you're set into it. So what are you working on these days? What's exciting to you now, and what kind of projects do you have going on?
Okay, now when I started, it was on a short film. My first commissioned project was a short film, and I did matte painting for that. But then gradually things started changing. My spectrum is enlarged right now, and I'm working in some graphic novels. I'm doing some short animated films as well, and short films obviously there. Not really into the true sense Hollywood big banner films right now, but I hope to do that in the future. For now, I'm doing these things: graphic novels, games, short films, and animated shorts.
Thought it was a fair gamble. Either I'd find myself or get it out of my system.
And what do you think is exciting these days with what you're working on for your personal work? What are you excited about, and what are you studying? What kind of things are you trying to learn about and have breakthroughs with?
As I'm progressing, I'm learning a lot of things. And these days, softwares are developing real fast. Like, if you're a painter, it's not really advisable to stick to just painting and Photoshop. You will have to know some compositing work as well to project your matte painting into 2.5D spaces. Like, they really need camera projections these days in movies, in games, and everywhere. So I'm learning and developing my skills in compositing like Nuke and After Effects. Then you have to know some a little bit of 3D as well. The more, the better. And 3D softwares are also changing in a very rapid pace. So to keep pace with your competitors, you have to upgrade yourself regularly. So there's kind of speed involved in this career, which I enjoy very much. It gives me some kind of adrenaline rush. When you learn new things and you execute, and people like your effort, that's very rewarding. So this is the technical part, and there is a social part as well. Uh, it is amazing that, like, I'm talking to you, I've never met you. We are situated far away. Like, you're in maybe Canada, right?
Yeah, in Vancouver, Canada.
I'm in India, but we are having some kind of relationship. It may be a professional relationship, but I enjoy this, working with people from different races and nations and having a kind of brotherhood type of feeling. It's amazing. I have very good friends who were once my clients, but they are just pure friends right now. That is also a reward for me.
Awesome. So, what do you like about being a matte painter, working from home, taking commissions from people all over the world?
The one most important thing is freedom. I select my working hours. I don't have an office, so you can work when you want to work, and then if you're feeling sick, so you can just talk to your client that I'm taking a days off. And mostly they are generous people like you, so it's a big thing. And then at your home, at your own environment, you are at peace. So mental peace is very important for this kind of thing.
Do you find yourself getting distracted at all while you're working at home? For me personally, no.
No,
Oh, okay.
no, never, because all of my family members are warned very seriously not to disturb me when I'm doing something, painting or something, thinking maybe. Thinking is also an integral part of the process. So I have strict commands to my all my family members that if you find me sitting on a couch and thinking, please do not disturb. And it was difficult to maintain this thing. when I started, but now they have seen my furious self a couple of times, and now they do understand how serious these things are.
Gotcha. When you get stuck for inspiration, speaking about thinking very creatively, when you're stuck, what do you do to get back on track?
It happens at times, and I have a few ways to get out of that. One is to go and watch a good movie, and I have a very large collection of books, storybooks, in my own language, that is Bengali, and in English literature as well. So good literature is again a very good source of inspiration. I read a lot of fantasy books, read a lot of detective stories, crime stories, novels, and everything. That helps me a lot. And if nothing works, then I take my bike and camera and just go hit down the roads and start shooting photographs, go to the countryside, riverside, or whatever, in some forest, just have peace of mind, spend some quality time, get back home, and when the mind is fresh, then you start getting new ideas.
I love it. Um, you read the words on the page, but obviously you have to create the images in your mind. And so, do you take those and then maybe do some sketches, or how do you find that books inspire your creativity?
Yes, obviously, when I read something, constantly I'm creating images in my head. I don't know what other people do, but when I read some storybook, in my mind, I constantly create visuals. So that helps a lot, and I have taken a lot of inspiration like that.
I'm curious. I want to go back actually to that first post that you put online, the first public post with your artwork that kind of got things started. Do you think that there was anything special in what you posted or the way you posted so that someone listening to this, if they're trying to get some recognition with their work that they've been posting online and maybe not getting many people looking at it or not feeling like it's hitting the right audience, or do you have any advice to those people and things that they might be able to do differently or change so that they might be able to see some of the success that you had with that original post?
Okay, I will tell you the secret. Here it is like when I started doing the matte painting, my first matte painting, my second matte painting, maybe 10 matte paintings where I tried, like, to be honest, I had followed the paintings of Dylan Cole to start with. I was just amazed with his artwork and I tried to copy his paintings. When I did that, and I tried to take part in some challenges, in those matte painting forums, you have challenges going on. I think every month they have something coming up. I used to take part in that and make sketches for them, although I didn't post it, never, because I found them, not comparable to what other people were posting. I tried to figure out that what was lacking in my paintings. I found that I was trying to, do everything very neatly. For example, like if you are just say painting a ground and you have a kind of UFO landed in that ground. Okay, so what was I doing is that I was paying too much attention to the minute details, to every minute details, and that was making my painting look unnatural or unrealistic. Then I try to compare it with the photographs because I have a hobby of photography as well. In some good photographs, you do not really have any amazing subject. Maybe a simple photograph of a boy standing in a ground, and that looks amazing because there is an overall, synchronization or harmony in color tone, in light direction, in the overall fine tuning of that photograph. So then I figured out that in painting, if I produce that kind of an effect where everything blends in very smoothly and you do not have really anything standing out and looking odd, then your matte painting will be a good one and a treat for eyes. I tried to produce that effect in that cityscape painting, which I did and posted in the forum. And I think it's the lighting and the overall, color harmony that made it a success. I didn't try to overdo anything and just tried to blend things in. So that was it.
Awesome. So, in a nutshell, it was looking at your own work critically, or let me back up. First, it was
Yes,
probably
yes,
finding a master that you can apprentice under or study their work or, you know, do
yes,
master studies of replicating their artwork. Then it was looking critically at your own work to see, well, these other guys are getting noticed, but I don't feel like my paintings are at that level. What is different about what they're doing than what I'm doing? Then it
right,
was looking at photography in depth and saying, like, what makes a good photograph? Why are some photographs better than other ones? And what can I take from those and bring to my own artwork? What you found was unifying it all in a very realistic way, so that the lighting and the color harmony was all working together.
exactly. Yes, it's all about balance.
Awesome. I think that's a very great tip for some people that have been struggling and they're almost there, but not quite getting the recognition that they would like to. For the last part of this interview, why don't you tell us a little bit about where you see yourself going in the future? What kind of projects you are excited to take on as you continue to develop your career?
Okay, in the future, I do have plans for, you know, like doing more realistic camera projections, and I'm developing my skills with the new, that is the industry standard compositing software right now. And I'm trying to develop my skills with that. And I obviously want to work in mainstream Hollywood movies as a matte painter. Well, that's a dream, but I'm working on that. And to do that, I need to learn a lot more of 3D stuffs, maybe some effects, and day by day the softwares are advancing. So in a nutshell, I have to learn everything and in a fast pace.
Okay, so you've got a very great career going on. What are some of the biggest difficulties that you've faced so far in your artistic career?
Okay, the biggest difficulty is to overcome your doubt in your mind that you can do it or not. So, when I left a promising career in science, I was very nervous. How many people around me believed that I could do it, I never knew. But the one thing is that I believed. And at times you will be depressed when people will criticize your art, when your clients will push for n number of corrections, and you'll start thinking that you're not good enough. In that particular point, you just have to maintain your faith in yourself. That is the most difficult phase of, I think, in case of any artist. The most difficult and perhaps the most important thing as well is to get a demand for your art. You must create an image that if someone is thinking of making some film or game or concept art or anything, he or she should think that, okay, if I have to produce this thing, this is the person I should contact. There is only one person that can paint this kind of scene that I'm thinking, and if you can create this image, then you're through. That is your USP, and you're never insecure.
That's awesome. I have seen some people doing this, and I think it's very effective where their portfolio will be very geared towards, say, doing futuristic mechanical vehicles. And so when a job
Yeah.
comes up, you know that that is the person that you want to work with. Speaking to confidence, do you have any things that you do personally to help boost your confidence, to help you keep faith and keep moving forward so that you don't get stuck worrying about maybe some negative criticism or some of your own internal doubt? Because I know that even the most successful artists, in reading their biographies and how they work, they so many of them feel this self-doubt all the time.
That's an integral part of this life, and I what I do very often is I have all the backup of my previous works when I was a student, and I have all those sketches when I did when I was in school. So I just go and take a look of those things, and then when I compare those paintings to that one which got published in The Artist Matte Painting 3, then I get some confidence that okay, so over the years I have developed as an artist, and there is no reason that why I should stop. Another thing is practice. Like you all know that practice makes perfect. I keep on, watching good quality concept art and matte paintings that are published regularly in some good movie, maybe in some journal, or I regularly visit the matte painting and CG portfolios and forums. I do watch the challenges that are held maybe in monthly or annual basis. So I often visit CG Society for that, take inspiration from good quality art, and try to develop my skills to match that level. When I compare my artwork to the celebrated artists like Message Cassiara or maybe Damien Mays or maybe Dylan Cole or David Luong, I find myself very puny and I try to upgrade myself every day to reach that level.
I love it. All right, Sourav, let's wrap this up. Could you tell people where they can find you online and where they can get in touch with you?
SRVHERE dot wix wix.com/Sourav. So that's my personal website, and you can get in touch with me. I'm in Facebook as well by my name Sourav Dhar. You can contact me there as well. And if you want, you can directly email me as well. My mail ID is srvhere @gmail.com.
Awesome. And we'll have those with the show notes on Pencil Kings. So it'll be pencilkings.com/Sourav Dhar, SOURAVDHAR. Thanks so much for being on the call, Sourav, and thank you for listening. And we'll be back next week with another great artist interview.
It was an honor. Thank you, Mitch, for giving me this.
You don't understand. We saw something and it changed things. That's what happens to all of us. Doesn't matter if we really see it or only imagine we do. We see something and it changes us.
If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you could hit the 5-star review on iTunes or Stitcher Radio and leave us a little comment about what you thought about this.